Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we're proud to give you the coverage of the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. Tonight, the drivers get ready for mile-and-a-half racing action. It will be our third mile-and-a-half race of the season. After Atlanta, Homestead, and Rocky, Iowa last week, we are here at Kentucky, the most current layout that iRacing will have, and a layout that drivers have been trying to figure out. It has been a tough one for most of the field to kind of get a feeling of how it's going to be working here tonight. But ultimately, we're excited to give you the coverage of the Graveyard 210 presented by SG_Gaming, Racing, excuse me. Excited to get the racing coverage here at Kentucky. Once again, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me this evening is Zach Hall. And Zach, tonight's race, all drivers have been noted on it. It is tight. A majority of the track, it's loose at moments. It's going to be a handful all this evening.
That is definitely what it seems. These drivers are going to have a difficult time getting their hands on top of this one here tonight in Kentucky. And it's going to be interesting. You know, this track, not the most used in iRacing. We saw it drop off the NASCAR schedule in real life a few years ago, and it's kind of not been used too much. So it is definitely a place I feel like not everybody has the most laps. You know, we go to a place like a Charlotte, a Kansas, places like that, we've got thousands of laps. Most of these drivers, they've been racing officials, league races since they've started on this simulator. But now they come to Kentucky where you really don't see it used that much. So this is going to be a track I think that they're going to have to pick up very quickly and try to get familiar with tonight.
And a lot of drivers giving the note in similarities to this is kind of a reversal of Texas, where both sides of the tracks are completely different on how you're going to be running them. Turns 1 and 2 going to be having a slightly more banking than 3 and 4. 17 degrees of banking in 1 and 2, so allowing drivers to carry a lot more speed. While 3 and 4, it's only at 14 degrees of banking. A small margin, but a massive change on how these drivers have to attempt these corners, which everyone's been trying to get a handful on racing in a pack with one another, but also qualifying. Been hearing a lot of drivers saying that they're still struggling to find that true top-end speed when they're racing by themselves.
That is for sure. Yeah, I know I was talking to a few drivers just in this practice session alone that we're talking about. It was just so hard to find the grip early in the lap to get the car to really want to turn. They're really having a tough time getting, especially through this corner right here. 3 and 4, such a much lower bank, slower speed, more tight, aggressive corner that it is. And it stayed in pretty much the same configuration it was when they repaved this from the previous layout. It's just really this corner has changed the most. Like you said, Sam, it's very high banked, very fast down here in 1 and 2, and very one group too. You see that bottom line be very much the fastest way around. I'm interested to see if we'll maybe see it spread out a little bit down there and they can set some passes up down into 3 and 4 later.
I know a lot of drivers coming into tonight after a rough Iowa came with a lot of penalties, ARCA brake penalties, cause of too many incidences, and some drivers on the brink of suspension, but luckily didn't get that far into their penalty surges. But here are the list of names. Not every driver is going to be racing here this evening, as some have stepped away with today being a holiday. But you have Justin Campbell. He was given an L2. So for any drivers with an L2 or higher penalty, they're not allowed to qualify. And as well, if you're given an L2, drive through after the first lap is completed when we are under green for the 66. Nicholas Renner, he asked for a provisional this week, so next week he will have to serve his end-of-the-line penalty. Cody Smith was given an end-of-the-line penalty. Mark Lavertone, our first driver this season to be given an L3 penalty. It's basically the same as an L2, but you were docked 15 points from your official point standing. So the 44 is going to have a rough one moving forward, as he was actually 25th before that docking of points. He's going to have to research forward. Also, Colton Jordan, he has not shown up here this evening, but he as well has an L2 penalty that he has to serve. Mark Morales will have an end-of-the-line penalty. Also, Justin Smith's got an end-of-the-line penalty, and going to be Michael Miller, end-of-the-line penalty for the 99. Drivers who asked for provisionals that will not be showing up this evening, Stephen Clapp, as well as Nicholas Renner. So both those drivers officially already let us know they weren't going to show up, but there's a long list of other drivers that also are not here. We'll see if they show up next week, as next week we head to Chicago Street Course. But before we get too far ahead, We have qualifying ahead of us, and drivers, those that are allowed to qualify, being up front in track position, going to be a key factor for yourself as we get ready for qualifying. It's going to be 5 minutes to put down your fastest lap. Each driver is given 2 laps to put down their fastest time. And we will see if any of these drivers can be on top of the board and be one of the newest pole sitters, as this season we've had a different pole sitter for every race this season. Let's see who can be maybe the 5th or be the first driver to have 2 poles this season, as Vincent Sora already broke our streak. He's the first driver with 2 wins this season, and Zach, one of the favorites to watch out for this evening.
Definitely one of the favorites. Look, he's going to go to this top side of 3 and 4, try to build up the momentum for the second lap. But one thing I can tell you right now, it's a very busy track. We might be only seeing one driver out here, of course, as the drivers do these laps by themselves in their own little session, so to say. But this track is busy with drivers putting down laps, because I tell you what, Sam, as you can see the track, there's a lot of shade that's came over. So everybody's trying to take advantage of this cooler track conditions, and maybe hope that the early set of this lap of this session is better than later, because it could continue to cool down if those clouds stick around.
It certainly can. I know for a majority of the field, they were getting nervous based off of practice. The track was very warm. It's cooled off quite a bit since we started the qualifying run. As Chris Stitz, pole time currently, Nolan Hicks going to be atop of the board. Vincent Sora says, I will take that one for myself, as it's a 30.660. What a time for himself as the field gets rolling some more. It's a crazy time to see these laps tick away, as we're going to have our graphics go down for a quick moment as the racers continue to race on. But this was a crazy one, Zach, of seeing Vincent Sora top of the board currently. Chris Stitz is now bounced up into second. Our graphics will be coming up here back up shortly. We have to do a quick reset on the back end of things here, but we'll continue to audibly tell you where drivers are at. Ali Fonseca has now moved up into 3rd position for the 24. Isaac Shelley going to be in 4th. It's Cedric Hunter currently finishes up our top 5. Still have about 10 drivers trying to put a time in. Again, a few drivers not allowed to qualify. That's Justin Campbell and Mark Labertone. They are not allowed to qualify because of their penalties they were given last week. And Zach, that's honestly going to be harsh for the 66, who's going to be one of the favorites to watch out for. And we'll see how Mark Labertone can reset after this initial start. As still it's Vincent Sora top of the board. Top 5 again, Sora, Sipes, Fonseca, Shelley, and Hunter. Currently still your top 5, as Michael Miller coming up a little bit shy as he qualifies in 7th.
Yeah, kind of surprised to see these lap times not pick up from here. We'll see what Larry Yingling can do in his lap, because the track temp 3 degrees cooler than when Vincent Sora put his time in. It's 93 degrees compared to 96 what it was previously. We'll see where Yingling, oh wow, he's way out. Actually, no, sorry, he's starting his 2nd lap now. Sorry about that, folks. That makes sense. The lap's so slow, but we'll see if he can pick up here, because I've seen the track. It's dropped to about 3 degrees now, and that will equate to lap time.
Last few drivers try to put qualifying time in. Gavin Rogers, Christopher Norris, and as well the 67 of Larry Yingling. Got a minute left in qualifying. Does Yingling have the speed for the pole time? 67 down on the apron and across the line. 31st was his first lap. What will he be? And top 10 is calling. It's up to 8th place for Yingling. Christopher Norris able to crack into the top 25. Gavin Rogers going to be on one of his final times. And Thomas Green, who went flipping last week, he finds himself finally going to get out on track, starting his first lap, as Gavin Rogers will bounce Cedric Hunter out of the top 5. 75 takes 5th place.
Great lap by Gavin there to jump up the 5th, but I think Thomas Green only going to be able to get one time lap in here, just due to the factor of taking off a little late. So he's luckily trying to get up to speed, find the grip on these little bit colder tires than what his competition did. So we'll see if the lap can get in. That's going to be the key, because it is going to be cutting it close when it comes to that time counter up there. You see we're just now dropping into the final 10 seconds as Vincent Sora is really trying to breathe a sigh of relief here, maybe to hold on the pole.
And coming across the line, 4, 3, 2, 1, and across the line. That first lap should count, and it's good enough for 25th. but not a chance to go for lap number 2. That is kind of close for Thomas Green. If he waited any longer, that lap would not have counted. He had to start at the end of the line. But drivers have finished up practice and qualifying. They will have a 5-minute warm-up period to get any last bit of practice in, see where their pit stall is, but ultimately gives us time to take a deeper look of how the season's been so far. This has been a very entertaining season for ourselves, seeing drivers bouncing around throughout the points. And here's how the point standings look entering this evening. And Zach, 4 races in, Danny Cochran is our points leader, tied with Vincent Sora.
It is really awesome to see, man. I mean, what a bounce back into Trinity recently he's had here from ISRC Truck Series. I mean, it was looking down, and now he's brought back some new life. But of course, tied there with his teammate Vincent Sora, who has those 2 wins to back it up. Then it's really close. I mean, from that top 3, of course, with Derek Thomas, but look at Ryan Kelly. He's had a quiet little start to his season, even in the top 5. So great start for a few. And I think, if anything, it's only going to close down the closer we get to that final chase.
And with Vincent Sora taking the pole here this evening, he will be the 5th different pole sitter this season, continue on the streak of every race we've had a different pole sitter for himself. But that cutoff line, Nolan Hicks, Michael Miller, Jesse Thornick. But if you look even deeper down on the field, there's a lot of names that are shockingly low. Christopher Norris in 30th, but I think the big name, Thomas Green, 26th in points. That is a far margin for a driver that we are expecting to be at least a top 10, if not a top 5 contender this season.
No doubt. Yeah, I just noticed that as you're bringing through the list too. He's definitely one I think we could see quickly be moving up. Malik Kuntz is also another big name. I feel like you got to watch, who's shown speed in the past here in this series. So it's going to be fun to see how they can climb out of this hole here, because they got to start getting it going in the right way at some point.
Exactly. And a few other drivers as we switch over to our schedule that are also outside of our top 30. They're shocking. Ali Fonseca, 38th in points. Gavin Rogers, who just had his debut race last week. Again, he's deep in the field in 48th. Expecting them to make their surges forward. But here's how the season's been so far. Those first 2 races, well, that was Speed Week. We had our clash where we got to see Christopher Norris get into victory lane. Then we had the duels, Danny Cochran winning one of the duels that race. And then we started the season in week 3. Cody Reed grabbing the pole for himself that day. Vincent Sora getting the win with Jared Talmadge winning at Atlanta. Then got to see Justin Campbell gained into victory lane with a crazy tire run decision to win at Homestead. And last week, Vincent Sora proving that Iowa is still his track no matter what vehicle he's in, winning and becoming the first driver with 2 wins. But moving forward, Zach, this is the part of the schedule I'm excited about. Chicago Street Course, Michigan, and Martinsville has been removed. We're still waiting on what track will be replacing Martinsville here in a few weeks.
It's interesting to see what will replace that, of course. I mean, they feel like that's going to need to be taken off, and it just wouldn't produce the racing that they think they're hoping to have. So, I think a smart call by that, because it could have went very bad. And next week, of course, I think the one that really is lying in everybody's minds is about that Chicago Street Course, and that is going to be wild.
There isn't a scheduled for full course yellow unless there's a track blocker in the field, and all drivers are concerned that could happen. But for tonight, here's some drivers that we want to take a note on of those to watch out for. And I'm going to go with the obvious one. He's tied with the lead in points, and he's the first driver to have 2 wins this season, Vincent Sora. I just got a feeling we're at a mile and a half. The track's tight. It's going to be difficult for drivers to save their tires. I got a feeling. Watch out for this 15 to be winning here this evening. But Zach, who else do you have as a driver to watch out here this evening?
I'm having a good feeling about tires being a big issue, and right fronts especially. I think that man that's going to be great here tonight is going to be the 30 of Ryan Kelly. It looks like ended up 18th in qualifying, so far from where Vincent Sora's Sam's pick is at. But I think you'll see this 30, who is quietly in the top 5 in points, climb his way through this field here, because he's just very good at his tire management.
Then our 3rd member of our crew here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, our producer, Robert Moyer Jr. He's going with the 67 of Larry Yingling. And Yingling, like we said, expected to be kind of quick here this evening, but didn't have the best qualifying time for himself, but he'll stick inside of the top 10. We'll see if the lead is calling his name for sure, as drivers are finishing up warm-ups here this evening. I want to also say thank you to our sponsors, of course, Larry Arts Production. Larry Arts Production is the title sponsor for the Trinity Racing League here for Season 1. If you want to go check out some great variety of funny comedy videos, reviews, vlogs, live streams, and more, head on over to YouTube today and check out Larry Arts Production and see all the great content that Larry puts out. I feel like every video I see from Larry is getting me giggling and it's helping me get through the day. Do not miss the next video that Larry posts out. As warm-ups is finishing up, it's time for us to take a look at our Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios starting grid. Go follow Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios on Instagram for your one-stop shop for custom full-color tattoos, stickers, prints, and more. As well as we want to say a big shout-out to our Blazing Fast TV Pole Sitter Award winner, Vincent Sora. First time this season, Vincent Sora is grabbing the pole here on Monday nights for the Trinity Late Racing League, and he will be enjoying that top spot. Again, go check out Blazing Fast TV today to check out the great racing point of view shots from Dakota Moniz, as well as some of the other sports games Dakota plays on his Blazing Fast TV YouTube channel and Twitch channel. Thank you so much for Blazing Fast TV and Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios for being our pole and grid sponsors today. Again, taking that Blazing Fast TV Pole Award, Vincent Sora with Justin Sipes to his outside. Ale Fonseca finding the quick speed for the 24. He'll be in third with Isaac Shelley in fourth. Gavin Rogers will qualify in fifth with Cedric Hunter in sixth. Seventh is Nolan Hicks with Michael Miller going to be in eighth, but that's an end-of-the-line penalty for the 99, but still a great starting position, at least for pit road, he'll take for himself. Larry Yingling going to be starting in ninth place, and Ethan Delaire will finish out our top 10.
Starting in 11th is the fan favorite in the one car, Joshua Stovall. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be Chris Stitz. 13th in qualifying is going to go to Ethan Smith, with Malik Kuntz coming home here in 14th. 15th is the 8 car of Noah Steele. Alongside him will be our points leader, the 02 of Danny Cochran in 16th. 17th is the 88 of Cody Reed. My pick here tonight in 18th will be Ryan Kelly alongside him. 19th is the 6 of Justin Smith. And rounding our top 20 is the 16 of Joshua Canaka.
In 21st, it's the 85 of Samuel S. Garcia, our race sponsor here tonight. Again, it is the Graveyard 210 presented by SG_Racing, and as well, Samuel Garcia sponsoring the halfway bonus point. Whoever is leading at the halfway of today's race finds themselves getting 1 bonus point. 22nd position, we find Ryan Bird in the 49 with Eric Kralik in 23rd position. 24th is the 14 of Jesse Thornock with Thomas Green falling all the way down to 25th position. Christopher Norris in 26th. Maurice Gilmillion in 27th with Isaac Reimer in 28th. 29th, it's going to be Gary Wells and Tyler Horn finishing our top 30.
31st will be the 10 car, Ryan Ferraro. 32nd is going to be the 9 car of Martin Morales. 33rd is going to be the 43 of Travis Downing. Austin Hall is going to start in 34th with Justin Key Campbell in the 35th. And Mark Labertone rounding our field in 36th will be serving that L3 drive-through.
Drive-through penalties for both the 66 and the 44. They're going to be having to deal with those struggles to start this race off. But up front, Vincent Sora, Justin Sipes. Sipes' speed here for the early going, this has actually been quite impressive. He was one of the fastest drivers during practice, qualifies second here for qualifying. This 80 machine, Zach, might be the true underdog driver to watch out for. Qualifies well under the radar, but the question is, who can survive these early laps? As we're about to go green, curious if we could bring up the weather. Talked about how the track was cooling off during qualifying. Well, it cooled off even more. During practice, it was up to 105 degrees on the track temp. It fell down to 95 during track temp for qualifying. We're down to 90 now for the race to start out. A little bit of wind, air temp at 71. We'll see how these clouds want to change this race up, but Vincent Sora and the rest of the crew, they see that pace car pulling off. That means it is race time for the Graveyard 210 presented by SG_Racing. As we enter the restart zone, Sora, Sipes, it's green flag out of the air as the 15 gets the good launch on the inside. But here we go, Zach, the question of that looms. How well can they exit at turn number 2? That's been one of the issues here this evening.
That is for sure. This 1 and 2 very, very much dominant from the bottom, and it's very tough to keep your car not wanting to wash up to the wall. But everybody throughout the field looks like makes it out of 2 as now they guide themselves down to the flatter, wider 3 and 4.
3 and 4 gonna have to slow down and make sure you can get around this corner. It also tightens up off the exit of the corner. Everyone's surviving for lap number 1, and Vincent Sora will lead lap 1 into pit road. Gonna be Justin Campbell and also Mark Labertone. They're gonna have to serve their drive-through penalties to start this race off. But it is all the 15 up front as you see Ali Fonseca trying to stay ahead of Sipes, as well as going to be Gavin Rogers. As further on back, you can see the Hornets nest. That is everyone racing around 20th position, where they're 2, 3, and almost for a second was thinking about 4 wide.
They definitely weren't thinking about it back here. You got Christopher Norris, the likes of him, Thomas Green right here. Same with Joshua Kanata. They're all right here in the mix, right behind Aaron Kralik and Samuel Garcia, who looks like they're going to split 3 wide with Malik Kuntz right up ahead. And it's tough to make that work here down in 1 and 2 as it squeezes into a 2-groove track really there very quickly off the exit.
As drivers are getting back out on track, and no trouble for Malik Kuntz. Massive save for the 33 as drivers were just trying to set up on the entry at turn 3. That 33 and 3, all the 3s line up, and luckily we continue to stay green moving forward. A huge little slip up now. Aaron Kralik going to go down to the apron. Drivers have to be careful as Sipes grabs your hot lap designs fastest lap here in the early going. The drivers can go down to the apron, but getting back onto the track on entry turn 1, if drivers aren't aware, you could easily make some unwanted contact as Mark Labertone just runs the middle of the track for the 44, and it squeezes everyone up again.
Everybody having to squeeze through out there. There was even a little bit checkup down throughout the field, even that trickle back, and luckily everybody makes it through that. Seems like clean and green for the time being. But what I'm seeing here quickly, Sam, it is tough to exit on the bottom of someone off the exit of 2. I've seen so many cars just get so tight right up off the exit and just cannot keep the nose underneath them.
As we've been watching all the chaos happening in the middle of the pack up front, Justin Sipes takes the lead. The 80 machine not wasting any more time, saw an opportunity to get up front, and he is trying to pull away as Vincent Sora, on the other hand, pushing tight off the exit of the corner. That 15 not looking as comfortable off the exit of turn 4 as we saw the 80 was.
For sure, and this is the corner I think that I've seen a lot of issues, especially drivers farther back in that turbulent air that we call the dirty air. It really causes a lot of issues farther back, but Vincent Sora definitely stuck right in that from Sipes, but you can even see a little bit of side-by-side action there as the 86 Noah Hicks trying to go around the outside of the one of Stovall. You also got Gavin Rogers right there in the 75 machine. Everybody here racing right outside the top 5.
Running right outside the top 5, 66 to Justin Campbell. He's trying to make sure he's the first car 1 lap down. If there's a caution and he's not involved, he would get our lucky caught of the day. He's right on board with Cedric Hunter. He's watching the battling in front for 6th position. 5th, 6th, and 7th really getting racy between one another as Hicks now going to be forcing the issue under the 75. But right on board with Cedric Hunter. I mean, Zach, this has got to be a prime feeling for the 13 on the fact that he actually qualified decently and wasn't just qualifying outside of the top 20 here this evening.
That's for sure. I think he always takes a bit of confidence boost when he qualifies better, just known not to have the greatest qualifying. And really, if you think about this season, just nothing has went right for him. It seems like everything that could have went wrong has went wrong. It's just been the rebounds from him have been amazing. So I feel like if the 13 has an opportunity here to stay throughout the whole race, racing up front, we could see him be a factor here tonight. And I tell you what, with a tight race car like this, the 13 is one of the better drivers out here at saving the right foot.
Trying to stay out of trouble the best that they can, and you're looking throughout the field. I think one driver, I'm shocked by how stuck they are right now. Only back in 26th position. Talking about the highs of Vincent Sora, tied for that points lead. Well, the other driver who's tied with them, the 02 of Danny Cochran, he is mixed and mingled with everyone practically in last place. And this 02, who is coming into tonight, is the only driver to finish inside of the top 5, top 10 for all races this season. This is not the way you want to start out your race 10 laps in and fighting just to stay inside of the top 30.
Yeah, I've been watching him too a little bit, Sam, and the number one thing I see for him is just 1 and 2 has not been good for him. He has not been able to really complete the corner. He's getting in the entry well, but just can't get off the exits due to just pushing tight a lot of times. He was stuck on the bottom really racing hard with a few, but it looks like they're getting really closer
Gary
side by side
Wells.
and sideways.
Wells, horn, saved by the 87, giving space. Is going to be also seen Downing as Gary Wells went for a slide way longer than he would like, but again, was not sideways enough with oncoming traffic to bring out a caution. So we continue to stay green even after that fiasco as we go move up to the next cluster of drivers that are racing hard as Malik Kuntz further on back. Hard contact for the 33, but here's going to be seeing the 3 of Thomas Green, as well as seeing a couple of other drivers getting mixy. This is Chris Stitz in the 17 on the inside, black and white and red, trying to move forward, but it's the 3 of Green who's getting the better advantage, as he's currently one of our biggest movers. Up 12 spots is this 3 machine.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. I was watching some of the lap times too. The laps he was running in this middle of this traffic was kind of outstanding. We'll have to see if the pace maybe lingers away from him farther into the run, maybe hurts the tires by pushing a little hard here early. But if anything, I'm seeing he looks like he's got his car turning very well. So we'll see what the 3 can do to rebound from a tough qualifying run there, missing out on the full 2 laps. But some of these drivers back here farther as we get through the field, kind of like they're just riding right now, Sam. It's kind of a single file line for some of them, and they're just looking like they're trying to manage their stuff as best as possible because, again, in this league, no stage breaks, nothing like this. We could go all the way to the end of this race.
We could. I know for the admins, they want to see this race get a little bit more of green flag racing. Even with all the contacts and slides that we've had so far, staying green is the main priority. They've not been too proud of the fact that the league's been averaging almost 10 cautions a race. It hasn't been 10 cautions every race, kind of ballooned out more after last week at Iowa, but this league knows that there is high caliber racing. They want this race to go green so they can prove the skills of each and every driver out here. And right now, first 14 laps, proving that this track is going to be tough. And Zach, I'm curious on the fact of tires wise. Again, tonight's race going to be 140 laps going to be ran. There's a bonus point for leading the halfway of tonight's race. No fast repairs, but 4 extra sets of tires in pit road to work with. So it's going to be the question of when do you want to come into pit road and get service done? And with how much wear and tear we've seen on tires, which strategy is the better one? Do you push the fuel out as far as you can go, or do you maximize the speed that your tires have underneath you? Because we're already seeing a pretty great fall off on tires just 15 laps in.
It really is seeing a lot of fall off for sure. I mean, some of these guys already over a second, almost a second and a half in a few. So we're definitely seeing the tires drop off. And that really brings the strategy. And like you're saying, Sam, it's really going to be coming down to the timing. Do you feel like you can manage them well and able to stretch those runs to have the advantage longer into the run, the next run even? It'll really be the question of what they want to do. But I think a few that could early struggle could immediately swap to a way more aggressive strategy just to try to get anything a little bit back.
As Nolan Hicks taking it easy. Here's drivers that aren't trying to take it easy, trying to move forward in an efficient manner. 88 of Cody Reed, another version of the Mountain Dew machines that Dale Hart Jr. would run. Going to be seeing the 88 of Cody Reed trying to figure out where do I want to place myself to continue moving forward. Already up 7 positions from where Cody qualified back in going to be in 17th place. This has been a great surge for himself. Other drivers that are trying to find their way forward. Thomas Green lingering behind them as the field is just slowly getting more and more single filed out as this run progresses on.
It really is. Right here, seeing a little bit of a battle between Larry Yingling and Cedric Hunter. Looks like Yingling's been able to get to the outside of the 13. Will complete the pass, but now the 13's going to hope to try to hold off his quarter panel there, but Cody Reed quickly able to grab hold of it, and this is going to really make it tough on the 13 here if he doesn't clear this 88, and he won't because the 88 great runner on the top, and that's going to really set the 13 back there. It's just so tough when someone gets on that quarter panel to not be able to turn off the exit in the corner.
I mean, that was a picture-perfect showing by Cody Reed. The amount of speed you can just carry on the outside, even this late into a run. That 1 and 2 outside row is quick. It's 3 and 4 that we're seeing a lot of drivers trying to figure out how to maximize their speed off the exit of the corner, but kind of similar to a natural super speedway, you could say. That exit at turn 4, that wall is sneaking up on drivers, and they're really having to back off sooner than they would want.
They definitely are. As you see, England able to make the pass on Gavin Rogers, and what he's been doing is running a little higher here, especially in 3 and 4 also. So this is looking to, spread out a little bit here in 3 and 4 and give these guys a little bit of option to find some clear air on the nose and find the optimal grip level. So Yingling up to 7th is now look at Reed. He's all over the back bumper. Gavin Rogers. I think the 88 looking pretty racy here this many laps into the run.
Cody Reed, he's really felt like this Xfinity car is suiting his driving style a lot more than maybe the next gen or the trucks did, and it is showing right now. Even last week, Cody got caught up in an early wreck that kind of took away his momentum, that he felt like he was going to be having a top 5, top 10 machine. It wasn't going to be the case after major engine damage he collected, but here tonight, trying to show that he does have the speed to be a contender to watch out for as this season progresses on. It's a shorter season than most, just 14 races this season. The regular season is going to be done in just 9 races in total. And we are at the halfway marker of this regular season. So, Zach, I mean, usually in other leagues where the season's much longer, you'd say, hey, you know, you got a couple more races to kind of throw away your season or have a bad race and you can recover. We're not at the point of the season where drivers can no longer make mistakes. You have to perform well from here on out if you want to point your way into the playoffs that these drivers are setting up for.
No doubt. And I mean, you look next week, you got the Chicago Street Course, and nothing is guaranteed, I think, there. So I think you got to be very smart and try to make things happen. Is Larry Yingling making things happen later into this run and really able to make the outside work? That 67 might have had something figured out here.
Seeing Stovall on the inside, just trying to get back into the throttle. Luckily finds a gap that he can throttle up, keep himself in front of Gavin Rogers, but Rogers is able to carry more momentum through the exit of the corner, and the 75 now will dash to the inside groove. Advantage should be the one if he can keep momentum, but not going to be the case. Rogers able to really dive bomb it into that corner, holds position, and setting up a massive run off the exit of turn 2. As the field all staying in the line. Not a lot of movement happening up front, but Sipes better be careful as Vincent Sora now starting to show signs that he might want to attack and go for a pouncing position for the lead, but the exit to turn 4, once again backfiring on Vincent Sora. That exit just, he cannot get a smooth run out. He just keeps swinging it too far out to the outside that he has to let off the throttle, lose all the momentum and pace. And I mean, for Vincent Sora, I'm curious if we could ride on board with him, because going into turn 3, he's got a much more aggressive entry, but the exits where he's just hurting every time as you hop on board and he throttles up, and there's the wall sneaking just right there.
Definitely two different lines, and though Vince Sora's going to really shorten the distance by running that lower line, gain a lot through the corner, and right here, look, diving to the inside, but there's a caution out on the racetrack. I think Michael Miller's coming around.
Trouble for the 99 of Michael Miller on the exit of turn 4. As it looks like Miller and Tyler Horn are going to get into it for themselves. And luckily no one else involved. That caution going to back off some drivers, and I'm looking at it. I think the 44 of Mark Labertone might be your lucky cod, as we'll see here on the incident. This is what brought out our first caution of the day, just 26 laps in.
Let's see how this all works out. You had Michael Miller there right in front of Tyler Horn, and gonna go down in the corner, and Miller looks like a little bit less speed carried in that center, as Horn's gonna be on the outside, and Miller's gonna start to slide up, and I think their two lanes just gonna come together. As looks like the 28 of Horn was already there.
Yeah, I think taking an aerial view, this is going to be a much clearer picture for us on the spacing. I think for the 99 of Michael Miller, just was expecting to maybe, hey, if I show that my car's drifting up, maybe Horn will give space, but Tyler Horn, feeling that he had the grip, was able to push forward. And the 28 gets it back in the throttle as the 99's going high. And yeah, I mean, that's just one of the biggest racing incidences with a track that tightens up off the exit of the corner. All accompanied parties have to be willing to kind of give space when they're seeing a certain each other have issues or have an advantage. No space was given, and both drivers heavy contact, is expecting everyone to come into pit road, get service done. One driver, though, happy with the timing of this caution. That will be the 44, Mark Labertone, as he will be gifted our lucky cod of the race. It's the Lucky Dog Award driver that is the first one to be one lap down, or first one to be a lap down. Going to get their lap back. And for Mark Labertone, after doing his drive-through penalty that put him a lap down, he will be back on the lead lap, and now is going to be making the hard charging run to get into pit road and finally take his set of tires.
He'll definitely be happy to get back on that lead lap and have an opportunity to go out here and make up some positions on track. And Campbell will now be in position, should be the one for the next position for Lucky Dog. So we'll see how that works out. Same for Tyler Horn. So that will be a battle, but Sipes wins the race off pit road, Sam. And I think that was an important one because I think Vincent Sora saw how tough it's going to be to pass. You might be a little bit quicker maybe than someone you feel like, but it's going to be very tough to be able to get around them.
And with the track being as tight as it is, as multiple drivers now are just lingering in pit road, Michael Miller's getting service done, and I think we're getting a little bit of a clear picture on what happened to Danny Cochran as he had to sit in pit road for about 40 seconds extra for the O2. Also, Tyler Horn still sits in pit road. We'll see if the 28 can get back out on track, but Zach, other ways you could take advantage? 2 tires. With it being so tight, I think 2-tire call might not be the worst thing to take, as Aaron Kralik going to be taking advantage of the 2-tire call, and he'll move up to now 12th position when he was battling for those back around 22nd to 23rd.
Very interesting call. Yeah, it very well could work, because that's kind of the older style of things, how it would work with 2 tires. You take those 2 tires and really loosen things up. So hopefully for Kralik's sake, that does, and it's going to be a gain track position for him also. So we'll see how that works for him, but the choose has been done. Sipes took the top, Vinsor took the bottom, and looks like we're going to have an interesting another start here. And I tell you what, the driver I feel like that was starting to really find something there. I think we'll have to watch this run if we can get a longer one. That 67 was very quick once he got some clean track. He has found something with a higher groove than others have.
Yeah, I think Gavin Rogers, Cody Reed, as well as Larry Yingling, those 3 drivers were moving up very efficiently. Curious if they can continue on with that push. Also, Thomas Green, if he can find some spacing, that 3 looks to be good to be moving forward. I want to say thank you once again to everyone that's joining with us here on your Monday evening. You're watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. About to go green. Wait for the pace car to pull off into pit road. Tonight's race, the Graveyard 210, presented by SG_Racing. Go check out Samuel S. Garcia's point of view on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and so many more. SG_Racing. As we enter the restart zone, it will be the outside of Sipes with the big run. Vincent Sora trying to keep it close, but not able to fully stay to the quarter panel as we head down into turn number 1. It's our top 2 staying side by side, but they're 3 wide battling for 5th as Rogers is trying to look for a massive run for himself, but battle for the lead. It's still Sipes and Sora keeping it a dogfight. Drag race into turn 3.
Great launch by Sora there to keep it side by side, and we'll see if he can try to make this pass, but I think the outside is just going to be a little too strong here as the 3 and 4. Sipes almost just clearing the wall there on the exit, able to clear Sora.
Able to clear, get in line. The 80 is right back to where he wants to be, in control and able to place himself wherever he feels like the maximum speed is. Update on the 01 of Aaron Kralik. He started 12th. He's already fallen back to 18th, so maybe that 2-tire call wasn't as great as we thought it was going to be. It also might just be a comfortable zone of just the pace isn't there for Kralik and for himself. But look ahead of the 01. Drivers are still battling to put themselves in best positions for a long run, but the battle for the lead is back underway as Vincent Sora diving down low. Big dive bomb move for the 15 as Sora will take your hot lap designs fastest lap with that surge to keep them side by side once again. Drag racing into turn 3.
He's trying everything to get it done. He almost cleared the 80, but the 80 just got right back to the gas. Was able to get on the quarter panel, and then down here in 3 and 4, the outside just too much here early in the run for that 15 to be able to make a move. I think he's going to have to settle in here, find something, or find a way to get to the right rear. That's going to be the really key to this pass. We've seen so far, if you can get to someone's right rear, you really make passes quickly. As Cody Reed continuing his charge, he's battling Ali Fonseca back here for that 4th position.
Friends, allies, teammates, God, Monster Motorsports going to be side by side battling for 4th place. Cody Reed, Ali Fonseca, and Cody is doing everything in his power to try to get by Ollie, but Ollie will not let that stand as Cody now going to be under fire from Larry Yingling as this 88, again, just trying to prove, hey, I've got the speed, let me race on. But the problem is, I feel like Cody's strength is in the later run, but maybe it's due to the fact that you can see the leader that he got a little bit giddy here on this initial launch.
He went for that move on Fonseca just to get around him and kind of bit him just a little bit because it got stuck on that bottom. So that allowed England to make the quick pass around the outside here as we ride over Warburg Reed. You got also Nolan Hicks, who was running top 5 before that caution right here in 7th. He's got to drop back a little bit from this restart, but these drivers all very quick, and you can see England up there even in front. He's trying to take a look at Fonseca already on the bottom.
How to race defensive. I think that's going to be the key here tonight. Once you get track position, it's how do you place yourself to move high or low to get your best positioning to attack. And right now for Yingling, he's trying to hold that top spot, but moving up into 3rd place, Isaac Shelley. He's up 1 spot from where he qualified, but this 98 is trying to keep it a little bit closer on this run, not wanting to lose touch to the top 2. They kind of just pulled away those first initial 15 laps, and then by the time the 98 caught back up, didn't have any tires to go for a passing position. I'm liking this decision. Our top 5 keeping it all within a half a second of one another as Vincent Sora attempts another pass down to the inside groove, and this could be giving a huge advantage to Shelley. If that 98 can keep it close with Sipes, they could block off the 15 where he won't even have position to hold second.
We'll see, maybe if he even jumps out 3 wide, even he had the possibility maybe to get to the right rear of that 80, that would have definitely lightened things up a little bit, but that 80 able to stay right alongside, and this is the key here. Vince Sort just can't open the wheel up right there and let the car out. That allows that momentum from that outside line just to flow all the way down the straightaway as they head to 3 again here. And this is where it's going to be even more tough. It's just so flat down there on that bottom side. That 80 is just able to keep the momentum wound up around the top.
And also watching on the battle that was happening for 4th at the same time. Looked like Ollie Fonseca really squeezing Larry Yingling, not allowing the 67 to attempt to pass again, and instead the battle for the lead surges on again with Sipes just defending every assault that Vincent Sora goes for. Just isn't there, as Cody Reed now going to be under pressure from Nolan Hicks for 6th place, as Hicks has got the nose for a quick moment. Not going to be the case as our top drivers all staying in line. Update for those that are still in pit road: Tyler Horn in the 28 caught up in our first caution of the day, was starting to find momentum moving forward, but then got caught up with the 99 of Michael Miller. That 28, he still sits in pit road 12 laps down. Justin Campbell, who had a drive through to start this race off, he's out there on track, but still is 1 lap down. He needs a caution to get himself back on the lead lap. Up front, they are still searching for speed, and Nolan Hicks, I mean, Zach, this 86 machine, we even saw it back in the middle of the seasons for the ISRC Truck Series back in the season 3 and 4. Hicks was kind of a surprising driver who was always lingering around a 5th place position. Wasn't the most flashy drivers out there, but once again, lingering and just waiting for his time to pounce for another great finish.
I completely agree. I feel like Hicks is a driver that you really can't ever count him out because he's had some sneaky great performances in the past, and I feel like in this Xfinity car he's going to be able to pull something off that's very similar to what he did a few times in that truck series. So watch out for Nolan Hicks, especially as this race goes on. He's been able to stay right here locked in, and he was right on the back bumper of that top 5 battle up front as again the race is side by side for that lead. Vincent Soares got to the inside, but the problem for him, he's not going to have no help from those drivers on the outside.
Absolutely no help at all. And Zach, I'm looking at the times. Again, once again, we're 13 laps into a run. Our leaders are about a second and almost a second and a half, a little bit less than that, off their fastest times they've ran here today. The tire wear is showing, and how much brutalizing is Stitz taking on this round of this run compared to the first attempts when we initially went green. Vincent Sort kind of laid over, gave the 80 the top spot in the first 3 laps of this race, and then was never able to really fight to take that spot back. Here on this run, since our first caution back at lap 26, we are seeing the 15 really being more aggressive, being assertive, and this is the best chance he's had to take the lead position back. Sipes has to keep his foot in the throttle and able to keep it side by side, but behind him, Ollie Fonseca says, I want a chance to fight for this lead position.
2 by 2 for the first 4 spots is a little contact. Fonseca's able to make that move, and same for Vincent Sora as the bottom side prevails for both of them.
And
Oh, they're in the
contact
wall.
pressure and into the wall is going to be seeing Shelley as well as Sipes just losing touch for a quick moment. Fonseca will now duck it to the inside groove, and the driver you noted on to watch out for, Larry Yingling, starting to get into the mixture, but Ollie Fonseca, a little bit of ruffle and tumble going between them as the 24 is just body slamming drivers to make these passes work.
Oh, definitely a little bit of contact there, and I don't think the 80 liked it because he rode on the door of that 24 very aggressively on that front straightaway and was side drafting, probably more aggressive than we've seen most times so far this race. So right here, we'll see if the contact is made again, but Fonseca just trying to do anything to slide up and clear here, but you got to give room for that 80 if he's there.
See the 24 trying to make this pass as cleanly as possible now after that hard contact on Shelley, slight contact on Sipes. You're trying to make these passes, but once again, similar move that he made before, just tail whipping the driver to the outside, getting them pushed up higher than they would like, and the 24 is clear, but you better start rolling and riding away because I don't think Sipes is just going to let that happen again.
We'll see here what happens down in 3-4. He dives to the inside here, and that was definitely an aggressive move there for sure, but looking back a little bit, yeah, Sipes almost just kind of drove into the wall himself there, got a little high in the entry to one, and it tightens up very much down here into the entry. The track gets less wide than it is at the beginning of the start finish line, so it can be deceiving sometimes on that outside, and just got a little bit into that wall. But right now Fonseca done a great job to come to second, and Sipes once again in the wall, and I think right now just feeling a little bit, you know, letting maybe the emotions get to him a little bit here early because of how hard the racing is going on here.
This racing has just ramped up to a completely different level than it was on the initial 20 laps of this race, and Sipes is feeling it due to the fact of having to fight so aggressively to keep Vincent Soar behind him throughout this first 15 laps of this run. It's just killed the tires. The 80, who looked to be in complete control, now is just fighting for everything he's got to keep these positions instead of the top 5, as we ride on board with seeing Gavin Rogers as well as Nolan Hicks ahead of him. Larry Yingling was the driver I was about to put a note on, Zach. He is starting to find that rhythm that he had coming to the end of the last run before the caution flag came out. That 67 is slowly marching forward. We'll see how aggressive he wants to be, because currently for Ollie Fonseca and for Vincent Soar and Ollie Fonseca, they both have been awarded with their aggression, kind of similar to some other drivers in the way that they had to run in the past. Aggression seems to be the way if you want to move forward.
And definitely when passing is very tough, it seems like aggression is definitely the way to go, so to say. Sam, just see Cedric Hunter trying to make a move back here. I believe that's on Nolan Hicks on the 86, who slid back here about one position after losing the spot to Gavin Rogers. But yeah, I'm watching them interested here because Reed and Yingling and Rogers were very good that last run. Once we got to about the 3250s, and then the other drivers started running 60s, and they were able to stay in those 50s. So this is what I'm very interested to see if these laps continue on. We get another 10-15 here. Will they be able to do that similar move? Because I noticed Yingling pushed a little harder on the beginning of this run, try to get a little bit of track position and hold on to it, then backed up. So it's one of those games of get a few laps in there, you know, get into a good spot you feel like, then kind of save your stuff. So it's always a cat and mouse game when it comes to these tire saving games.
It certainly is, as our top 12 have been keeping it close to one another. The rest of the field's pretty spaced out, as we are aware of internet issues. As there's not much you can do on our end on it. We're just going to try to power our way through, but certainly a situation where we are trying to keep our eyes to see if the buffering gets cleaned up, as the drivers ahead are now all single filing up right now.
They are. It's all single file for the time being. There's the only really battle going on is Nolan Hicks and Cedric Hunter, who this time the 13 has found the way to the outside. Just the key is, can he keep to the quarter panel? And he can't do it off the exit of 2 as Hicks will be able to slide up in front of him. So really single file all the way through majority of this field, as everybody's trying to find any little pace difference they can to utilize these cars. But I think a lot of people have figured out down there in 3 and 4, that second groove is just the way to be.
It certainly is. Well, with everyone single filing up and us having a little bit of internet issues, we will throw it to a side-by-side commercial break. to see if there's anything on our end that we can do. Excuse me, actually, we're going to go full screen to see what we can try to fix on our end. But we will try to be back as soon as possible to continue giving you the racing action of the Trinity Racing League here at Kentucky. We'll be trying to be back here in a few.